The ice-covered polar region melts daily as global temperatures rise. For many island and developing nations, it threatens survival. However, militarily advanced nations may see it as an opportunity to take 13% of the world's crude oil from the Arctic Ocean. This unexplored Arctic land holds around 90 billion barrels of crude oil and 1/3 of global natural gas. About 35 billion barrels of crude oil are utilized annually worldwide. The race started. Russia, the dominant force in the region, is capturing the Arctic's barren territories with its military might. President Vladimir Putin launched Arctic LNG-2 to tap the region's huge LNG reserves. Russia's energy dominance and global superpower status will be secured by this massive project. Russia is not alone in its quest. The U.S. is expanding its claims to the extended continental shelf despite not signing the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Canada, Norway, and Denmark are competing for Arctic territory. International relations always revolved around this black gold. Hydrocarbons affect the globe in a million ways, from wars to racing automobiles, budgets to electric power, firing stoves to affecting the environment. It powers our modern world. Hydrocarbons formed millions of years ago, but scientists discovered their engine power in the late 19th century. The world has changed drastically since then. Crude oil enabled big equipment, factory processing, and air travel. America is the world's top oil producer. In 2023, the EIA reported 12.90 million barrels per day, 4.70 billion barrels per year, or 12% of global crude oil production. Pennsylvania Rock Oil Company drilled the first U.S. oil well at Titusville. But how is crude oil extracted? Why is seismic equipment used before drilling? When there is no direct drilling to Earth, how do drilling rigs work? Find out. Crude oil extraction is as tough as rocket science. For a general audience, we briefly explain crude oil extraction procedures. We hope you subscribe to our channel. The site's geology is thoroughly examined before proceeding. For this, seismic vehicles are employed. Trucks with vibration devices are seismic. A hydraulic system powers this piston, shaking the Earth. An electrohydraulic servo valve precisely regulates vibration force to accomplish the desired result. Ground shock waves result from its vibrations. Seismic trucks study the oil reservoir extensively. Humans can feel the vibrations at 20 to 150 hertz, which are not harmful. The vehicle can exert 90,000 pounds per square inch, equivalent to many elephants. Scientists can examine subsurface structure and composition using vibrations that reach deep into the ground. This data is essential for oil and gas exploration, mining, and subterranean carbon storage. Trucks leave vibrations that can be detected by specialist equipment. Like a map, these vibrations disclose subterranean secrets and help scientists grasp the Earth's hidden architecture. Geoanalysis of sea oil deposits uses seismic boats. These, like seismic vehicles, have cutting-edge seismic sources, receivers, and recording systems. Best practices include maritime life safety before seismic activity. To prevent harm, safety measures are performed. They gradually strengthen waves to let sound-sensitive aquatic species flee. Compressed air guns are used on vessels. It fires pressurized air regularly. The sound of compressed air waves hitting the seafloor penetrates deep into the subterranean rock. Sound waves return to the vessel. Returning waves are recognized, processed, and recorded. With seismic data analysis, scientists can learn about rock formation, oceanic trenches, and other geological phenomena that create our globe. Data is usually converted into a 3D map. It helps find the safest and most effective drilling site. Once a promising site is found, drilling begins. Specialized drilling firms charge oil companies for labor and rig day charges. Drilling length depends on depth, rock hardness, weather, and site distance. Drilling creates a wellbore. Wellbores are dug into the ground to access oil reservoirs. Geological surveys and seismic data locate oil resources and determine the drilling site. After that, the terrain is leveled and cleared to support the drilling rig. Set up a drilling rig. First, the platform's floor is installed precisely where the drilling bit will bore the hole. A power and pump station are then built alongside the main platform. Next, the tower is built. This tower hoists. It lifts the drill bit in parts. A drilling bit is set up to bore holes in the ground last. Floor-mounted turntables revolve the drilling bit. This section usually rotates the drill bit 45 to 50 times per minute. Steel special-sided pipes rotate the drilling bit, connected by many pipes on the turntable. A weight is added to the revolving pipe to help the bit bore. These pipes are drilling strings. As it digs deeper, new pipes are added to extend its reach. The work is hard. Because of this, some companies have created automated rig systems that can extend the drilling string. The drill string receives specific fluids during drilling. Mud engineers regulate mud concentration. Fluid circulation cools drilling equipment and removes cuttings and drilled material. As the bit digs, more casings strengthen the borehole. Cement is supplied through casings to fill gaps between the pipe and rock, assuring its permanence, safety, and security. Drilling straight to the well is easy, but most oil reservoirs are unconnected oil pockets. These are shales. Petroleum is extracted from shales by horizontal drilling. The well turns horizontally and extends thousands of feet to the reservoir. After drilling each shale, blasts puncture the reservoir. Next, high-pressure water, sand, and a small amount of additives are injected into the punched holes. The rock develops small microfractures. These microscopic fissures are held open by sand to let oil, gas, and water flow from impervious rock. The U.S. operated 45,000 horizontal wells in 2012. Offshore drilling is similar to onshore drilling, but has its own issues. Drilling is done from a floating ship thousands of feet above the site. If the bit fails, the ship removes it from the well and restarts drilling. We had to pull out from 20,000 feet and descend again. The Transocean Poseidon, a 781-foot drilling ship, can delve 40,000 feet. A diamond-studded drill bit can cut the hardest rock. It might have tons of steel pipes stretching 5 miles from the ship to the cutting spot. Thus, a drilling bit and assembly must support 80 loaded vehicles. Cutting rock formations raises the tip temperature of each bit to 1,500 Fahrenheit. Luckily, this drilling boat has 2 derricks. One prepares the pipe while the other drills. This yacht will drill 8 30,000-foot deep seabed wells. After that, pipes will connect them, and an oil rig will be dragged to the oil well to retrieve crude oil from the treasure under the seabed. An oil rig pumps crude oil from wells from a floating platform. Shell's Vito is its latest oil rig. Its 4 pontoon legs are 90 feet underwater. They keep the oil rig afloat. But a floating rig can't stay put. Thus, mooring ropes anchor it. Vito isn't straight above the well. It is 1.50 kilometers horizontally from the flow lines to the rig. This gap prevents pipes from bending if the floating platform moves. Connecting the pipe to the subsea well network and floating rig is difficult. Delicate handling with no error is required. This requires joining kilometers of thick pipes and spooling them on a ship's massive reel. This 7 Seas ship is set to lay the pipe on the sea floor. It floats above the wellhead. A ROV then enters the water. It links the ship's pipe to a seabed anchor. The ship then releases a pipe for seafloor placement. The ship pipe angle is crucial. The ship's rear tower is raised and lowered for this. Too much angle will permanently buckle and distort the pipe. Obtuse angles destabilize ships. Remotely driven vehicles connect flow lines to oil rigs. The flow lines are attached to a boat winch away from the oil rig. Pulling the flow line up on the surface follows. When the flow line is at the water's surface, it is slowly dragged toward the oil rig to transfer load from the boat. Here, 300 tons of steel pipes dangle in the water. In such situations, mistakes are unacceptable. The ROV carefully moves the flow line head to one pontoon side. The team smiles when it's locked. After drilling, the drill pipes are removed and a casing and cement are installed to finish the well. It keeps the well from collapsing and lets oil and gas flow. A sucker rod pump extracts oil from the well, the most famous oil extraction surface device. Some call it a horsehead pump, donkey pump, thirsty bird, or dinosaur pump. The pump jack name is widely known. High-speed electric motors drive the pump jack through gear reducers on the rotational system. Counterweights are crank-connected to gear reducers in the spinning system. A pit arm connects it to the walking beam. The sucker rods and fluid are balanced by this counterweight. Sucker rods have horseheads at the end. The rod string pumps crude oil as the horsehead moves. The polished rod is the visible top of the rod string. The stuffing box avoids leaks when pumping. Oil is also sent to the link assembly. Petroleum is extracted from reservoirs after drilling. Primary production brings oil to the surface. Pumps and other equipment extract oil and gas. From the well, the sucker rod pumping device is responsible for pumping crude oil from the well. Sucker rod, plunger, and pumping jack make up this device. Suction and pressure from the plunger and sucker rod pull oil from the wellbore. Downhole pumps exist underground. It has a plunger with traveling and standing valves. The standing valve is closed, but the moving valve opens when the plunger descends the pump chamber. The traveling valves close when the plunger rises. Keeping the standing valve open draws liquids from the reservoir. In this fashion, the pump continuously pumps crude oil. Crude oil remains crude. A refinery turns it into gasoline and other petroleum products. The crude oil must first be transported. Pipes can transport it to a refinery from the onshore well. Offshore tankers transport oil. These floating oil tankers transport 60% of oil worldwide. Check out the universal leader. Over 4,000 tons of oil can be carried by this 1,500 2-foot oil carrier. The refinery separates crude oil components. Oil is heated to separate hydrocarbons like gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel. It takes several steps to refine, including distillation, cracking, and reforming. Crude oil refining begins with distillation. This technique turns crude oil into gases by heating it to 350 degrees Celsius. Pipes carry these gases to a fractional tower. Inside the tower, gases rise through bubble caps, horizontal trays, and baffles. Each tray is heated to match a hydrocarbon's boiling point. Hydrocarbons condense from the gas cloud at different temperatures, forming fractions. Cracking and reforming refine distillation fractions. Cracking converts heavier fractions into lighter, higher-value products. This technique makes gasoline and jet fuel from heavy gas oils. Reforming changes hydrocarbon chain composition via pressurizing chemical processes. For more gasoline, this technique is employed on lower-value light fractions. The processing unit streams are combined to make petroleum products in the final phases. The gasoline blend depends on octane, vapor pressure, and other factors. The finished goods are kept in massive tanks in a tank farm near the refinery before being sent nationwide. Refineries send finished products to storage and petrol stations. Oil tankers are vital to this oil distribution network. They supply oil and gas stations with ready-to-use gasoline daily. However, a full oil tanker on city highways is like a bomb in residential zones. That happened in Pakistan in 2017 when 138 people burned. Near its borders, things are similar. Road accidents killed 168,000 Indians in 2022, reports said. To improve this severe situation, Shell launched Humrahi for its drivers. Traffic pattern analysis can save lives, improve driver health, and increase comfort. Refined items are transferred to storage and consumers. It has pipes, train carriages, and tankers. Products must arrive securely and efficiently. Thus, this transportation process is crucial. The Air Forces have identified a new technique to fuel their jet planes and aircraft. US-based Orbit Fab has been trying to construct a space gas station network for years. Would you like space travel if it succeeds? Share in the comments, like, share, and subscribe. The ice-covered polar region is melting daily as global temperatures rise. For many islands and developing nations, it threatens survival. However, militarily advanced nations may see it as an opportunity to take 13% of the world's crude oil from the Arctic Ocean. This unexplored Arctic land holds around 90 billion barrels of crude oil and 1/3 of global natural gas. About 35 billion barrels of crude oil are utilized annually worldwide. The race started. Russia, the dominant force in the region, is capturing the Arctic's barren territories with its military might. President Vladimir Putin launched Arctic LNG to tap the region's huge LNG reserves. Russia's energy dominance and global superpower status will be secured by this massive project. Russia is not alone in its quest. The U.S. is expanding its claims to the extended continental shelf, despite not signing the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea. Canada, Norway, and Denmark are competing for Arctic territory. International relations always revolved around this black gold. Hydrocarbons affect the globe in a million ways, from wars to racing automobiles, budgets to electric power, firing stoves to affecting the environment. It powers our modern world. Hydrocarbons formed millions of years ago, but scientists discovered their engine power in the late 19th century. The world has changed drastically since then. Crude oil enabled big equipment, factory processing, and air travel. America is the world's top oil producer. In 2023, the EIA reported 12.90 million barrels per day, 4.70 billion barrels per year, or 12% of global crude oil production. Pennsylvania Rock Oil Company drilled the first U.S. oil well at Titusville. But how is crude oil extracted? Why is seismic equipment used before drilling? When there is no direct drilling to Earth, how do drilling rigs work? Find out. Crude oil extraction is as tough as rocket science. For a general audience, we briefly explain crude oil extraction procedures. We hope you subscribe to our channel.